And I think that's truly the secret. I have now lost over a stone since that video. I didn't even think I was making the video to lose weight. I certainly didn't think I was making the video to change my life, but I really do think I have. So I didn't actually originally want to make this video as part of my VLOGMAS series because I felt it wasn't very suitable. I was like, people don't want to be talking about diets. They don't want to be talking about cutting down on their eating habits. We just want to indulge and have a grand old time and not stress about our body image, etc. But that very thing itself is the reason I decided to actually make this video for the VLOGMAS series, because that's the whole point of mindful eating. That's the whole bottom line of this video. It's not a diet. It's not restrictions. It's not a one attempt thing. It's not something you do to see if it provides results and then you give up if it doesn't. It's not a challenge. Well, I guess you could argue initially it could start as a challenge, because I do feel like this is something that I would encourage people to actually physically push themselves to do first, and then see, just to prove to yourself how easy it can be done, because at first it might be a bit of a chore. I saw it as a challenge. I took it on board as a weekly task I wanted to give myself, and if you haven't seen that video, I will link it somewhere. It will be at the bottom. It will be also on the end card of this video. It will probably be suggested up here somewhere, of a video I made where I documented me doing mindful eating for a week. That video isn't there to teach you the set rules. There aren't really set rules behind this. It's more just about being more in touch with your mindfulness, and I think we should be in everything we do anyway, in general, when it comes to our daily lives. I think 2020 has been a year that I've really got in touch with mindfulness and what mindfulness means, how it can change my life, and my God, like, if I'm going to start anywhere, I would say that mindful eating has been, for me, the most important, effective, powerful, life-changing part of mindfulness. But that's because I've struggled so much growing up with food, body image. I've had such a weird relationship with food. Like, my introduction to food, I always think of around my sister and best friend. We would eat, like, eating lots of food was something that was exciting for me as a kid. Like, I would get excited with my sister about the concept of having like a big takeaway, lots of sweets, making loads of eggy bread, having lots of pizza. Eating excessive amounts of food was like a treat, but it was something that I would kind of crave and think about all the time. So like, I knew we wouldn't be able to binge loads of food all the time, so when we did, it was like a really exciting moment, and then throughout the week I would be thinking about when we're next going to have a big binge. Something you did when you were hanging out with a friend, it was movie night, or you were celebrating something. And then that also meant I went to food when I was sad, a bit miserable, I needed cheering up. Like, it was an activity that I related to happiness, so hey, why don't I do it when I'm sad? Because it will pick me up, it will build me up. Then there's the idea of eating more food around times when you're more comfortable. Another period of my life where I had a bad relationship with food was when I was actually in a really good place. And this is the irony of it, right? Like, I wasn't miserable, I wasn't necessarily celebrating anything, I was just really comfortable. I was in a relationship that I loved, I was at school or maybe even college at the time, and things were fine. Like, I had barely any worries. And I think because you get more relaxed with maybe not caring so much about how you look and stressing about things, I guess your priorities change, so you're not really conscious about how your body's feeling or what it is that you feel that you need. You are just very content in the moment, so nothing else truly matters. And I was in that same mindset for everything else going on in my life too. You know, because I was so happy in one area of my life, I was putting so much focus in on that, I stopped focusing on friendships, I stopped focusing on schoolwork, you know what I'm saying? So I think we can slip in and out of who we actually are and what we actually need, like our true kind of inner selves, very, very easily, for the good and the bad reasons. So I just sort of assumed that I would slip in and out of that all the time, and I would never be able to lose weight or feel in a good place when it comes to my body image unless I sacrificed something. Like I was either sacrificing holidays where you naturally eat loads more, like birthdays and Christmases, or other people's birthdays. I would sacrifice nights out because I'm like, nah, I don't want to drink because it makes me put on weight, and then when I'm hungover I want to eat more food, so I would be sacrificing that. If I didn't sacrifice those things, it would mean that I would sacrifice my healthier mindset. So instead I would get toxic habits back into my life slowly but surely as I'm cutting out other bits, like from my daily routine. So I would be like, I'll skip breakfast, I'll just not have lunch today, I'll just have dinners. And I remember going for a period where I literally just ate dinners every day. I was losing weight, but you're seeing food as something you should repel, should be grossed out by. It's a negative, like, oh, I shouldn't have that near me, I shouldn't be near food until 6 p.m. It's like pushing away something that is a necessity, and also it's kidding your body about something that is like one of the most natural things. It's telling yourself you can't have something that keeps you going, gives you energy, gives you fuel. That's the great thing about mindfulness as well. Everything about the word is getting in touch with, it's like stripping back the layers of the things that we've been trained and told and conditioned about, like things in the media. Mindfulness is really stripping back all those layers and getting back to yourself, hearing your subconsciousness, hearing your intuition, and quietening down everything else around you that you've been told, your childhood, your upbringing, your history, to hear that again, to get in touch. And it's quite emotional, really, because you're hearing a voice that you may have not heard since you were a child for years and years. You're hearing a voice that's telling you what you need and what it needs to keep you going, like a voice that's saying, I will look after you, I will give you the things that you need, the nutrients that you need, the movement that you need, the blood will be continuing to flow around your body, organs will continue to work if you just work with me, just do these little things for me and I help you back. And it's actually making me quite emotional saying that out loud now, because I think the minute that these weight loss programs, these books, these TV shows, these documentaries tell us that food is something that we should fight and battle and push away from and see as kind of like a weakness, actually sets you back further away from progress, because you're conditioning yourself to not only see your attitude towards food as a negative, but also the food itself as a negative. And I feel that once you can actually warm to those things, that's when everything starts falling into place. It's actually working with it, alongside it, that works, and not pushing it away. In fact, I think that's a big reason why people don't ever follow through with a diet. Like, you might lose loads of weight from a diet, but then your body will start putting on weight again when you ease out of that. If you lose weight too quickly, it does just like pile back on, and that's something that diets encourage. Like, it's crazy how these weight loss programs, they want you to lose a big amount of, like, it's celebrated when you lose a big amount of weight a month. Everyone's like, oh my god, you lost how much in a month? And it's like, well, that worried me when I did the mindful eating exercise. I lost weight very quickly in that first week even, and I was thinking it's probably not going to stay off because I lost it so quickly. But then, because I wasn't changing too much about what I was eating, I wasn't changing whether I enjoyed food or not. Like, I still enjoyed food, I could eat what I wanted, how often, blah blah blah. I actually was enjoying the food more, if anything, because those elements hadn't changed. It meant that I wasn't going to change my habits after that week had finished, so the weight just like continued to drop slowly but surely, and then it kind of got a bit slower every month. But that's a good thing. Like, that should be encouraged, because that's when not only your weight comes off, but your weight stays off, and also your habits start slowly changing too. Like, it's a gradual process of not only changing your body. I don't think we should just change like what's on the scales, but how we act around food. Like, our attitudes with it about food needs to change too. Not just, you know, getting a certificate at the end of the month for losing that amount of weight. We need to also help our brains in understanding why it is we're losing weight, how we're going to continue that in the long term. And I honestly think the moment that you crack the concept of believing food is your friend, food is necessary, and you can enjoy and eat lots of lovely delicious food that you really like, and still have a healthy relationship with your body, and still even have like an actual healthy, fully working, perfectly sized body, we can still enjoy the food we like, have lots of lovely delicious food all around us, take in the scents, the tastes, the happiness you get from cooking, and the excitement you get for waiting for the next meal. Like, we can still have all of these things while having a healthy relationship with our body, what we see in the mirror, and also while still being a perfectly healthy weight, like according to your BMI. Like, you can still enjoy food. Like, I think for me, the bottom line was, I thought foodies were naturally curvy people. You can't possibly be someone who just lives to eat rather than eats to live and have a normal healthy body. I just thought that wasn't possible. And I took part in a week's experiment to mindful eat, and the specifics of what I did for that is in the video if you want to watch. But in short, it's basically when you don't listen to society's expectations of waking up, having breakfast because you must have breakfast, and then having lunch just because it's 12:30, and then waiting to eat again until 6 o'clock because 6 o'clock is when you're supposed to have dinner. It's like pushing all of the expectations you've grown up to learn, you've discovered, your parents told you about, your school told you about, and just sitting still and listening to what your body is saying. It wasn't until I did that I realized that my body actually never is telling me to binge. My body is never actually saying I could eat an entire pizza right now. It was my head telling me that picture of Domino's pizza over there looks incredible, like I could scoff that all down into my gullet. Like, I thought that was something like my stomach was saying it needed, but it wasn't until I mindful ate I realized the difference between the two. It's kind of like comparing your heart to your head when it comes to like dealing with love and stuff like that. You don't tend to realize whether you are thinking of your head or heart until after a relationship is finished. And the same with food. It's not until you finish this huge dinner that you just scoffed in like less than 10 minutes you understand that actually I didn't do that mindfully. I wasn't conscious the entire dinner. I wasn't conscious the entire relationship about whether I wanted this or not. I didn't give myself time to like think about that, reflect about that, take it in, like really consciously live each moment like bit by bit, to give my subconscious, I guess, time to step forward if it needed to and be like, you're actually full now. Let's save this for later. How banging will this be later on when you're a bit peckish again? I suppose with anything to do with mindfulness, it's giving your mind a chance to speak up. So that's why meditation's really good with mindful activities, because that's what meditation can do, allowing us to stop and reflect a bit in a world where we are constantly on the go. We need to be productive all the time. We need to be proving to each other that we've got this crazy lifestyle and we're doing wacky wild things. And so a big part of that kind of like penny dropping moment was realizing the comfort in the present moment, even when that comes to cooking the dinner, like taking it in, enjoying the process, like smelling the smells, this is really nice, realizing that is actually part of the meal as well, because you're taking in the food just as much in a way, just through another sense, if that makes sense. Through like the sights, the smells, and the anticipation, I suppose, the excitement of like knowing that you're gonna have food soon. And then I realized that when I was actually sitting down and consuming the food, I found myself enjoying the food more than I would have if I was watching TV and just shoveling things in. Mindful eating is also about not putting on the TV. It's about just being with yourself and the plate of food. That makes the relationship more intimate when you're eating. And although I don't do that now, I do watch things while eating, I would still recommend, however, to start off with mindful eating if this is something you want to start doing yourself. In a daily routine, I wouldn't necessarily say it's very practical to quit watching TV or anything when you're eating your food, because once again, that's about restrictions. That's restricting yourself from doing something that could become a bit of a bind and a hassle for you, and it's going to most likely make you give up doing it if I'm putting restrictions on you. I instead would encourage you to try it without TV to make you understand what mindful eating is and means and how it feels to take in food a bit more. So train yourself in a sense to just understand what it is to eat a meal. I know that sounds silly, but we're not really as in touch with that anymore because we have so much going on around us. Like, if we think back to how things used to be, once again, if we strip things back, like, we have meals around our family, we take in the company and the food. It's this big like celebration at the end of the day. It's this big like reunion, I guess, of company and good vibes and like appreciation for the labor that went into the food we've got in front of us. Now it's like whack it in the oven, shove it in my gob, watch a bit of Netflix. We don't even realize we're eating half the time. So how are we supposed to understand that you can be a foodie and enjoy loads of food as well as having a relationship with it? Because we assume that to enjoy loads of food, to be a foodie, we've got to be someone that has to eat so much that we are more conscious of the food we're eating. Like, I assumed that to enjoy food, I've got to have so much of it and be consuming so much of it that I'm more aware of it being in front of me, when all I really needed to do to be aware of it in front of me is to turn off the freaking TV and be more conscious of it in front of me. So I took on board the tips that I learned from just eating with myself on a table with no TV, and I brought them into wherever and however I was eating in the future. Like, even if I was eating on a train, even if I'm eating with friends in a restaurant, like even when I had people around me, sometimes people can be distractions because you can be in deep conversation, you're not really conscious about what you're eating down there. It's just like picking up little habits, like putting down the fork every now and again, talking to people, pausing a little bit throughout the food, looking at the food a bit more. You can watch TV, fine, but having a week or two of you not watching TV while eating food will train yourself how to just stop every now and again and look down at the food. It's as simple as little things like that. And also drinking water while eating food. It'll get you in the habit of running water before, dinner, and then having like a glass there. So that will give you some time to just like pause and then go back into the food. And that in turn will make you eat slower. And one of the biggest things I've taken from it, and now still do, lastly, the time that it takes for the food to settle needs to happen, and it can't really happen if we're trying to get all this food down us before the episode finishes, because we're like excited about the episode finishing and like eating so quickly that we think we need more food than we actually do because we're still hungry while eating it. But realistically, it's not until like 10 minutes after the food's all been finished, the plate's been gone, we're like, oof, I've eaten way too much. So in training myself to eat slower allowed me the chance to actually give myself time to ask, am I hungry? Are you hungry, Ellie? Ellie, do we want food? Because I stopped rushing it. I stopped treating food like something that should be dodged because you don't want to think about it too much in case you eat too much. You might want to skip it entirely, or you might be tempted to eat loads and loads because you're like overly excited about it. So even like the cooking process of it like being a more intimate moment, that being slowed down helped allow me even actually picking the food instead of just opening the cupboard, first thing I see, grab, take, like choosing the things, selecting the things that I want to add, like the sauces I want to make, like really thinking about the parts that I want to put into the meal is even slowed down too. And that allows me to ask myself, actually, how big of a portion do I want? Do I really want all of those things that I just like willy-nilly grabbed out of the cupboard and shoved on the countertop. When you try the mindful experiment, you recognize that proper hunger, like true hunger, not just like a craving for something or like feeling a little bit peckish. True hunger is where your energy levels are actually lower. You need the food for what it's actually supposed to be for, which is fuel. Be hungry rather than just like a little bit peckish, because I know that sounds silly to say, but there is a massive difference in that, and I don't even know whether I would have known there was a difference unless I did the experiment of the mindful eating experiment. Because sure, I don't do all the strict things I was doing in that challenge, where it was more of a challenge because I had to, you know, sit on my own, like sit in a room on my own, not watch TV when I ate meals. You know, I had to put my fork down after every bite, and I had to have a sip between every bite. That was very extreme. I wouldn't encourage that, and I don't say that I do that now, because I really don't. But I got in touch with what actual hunger was again, and I remembered this is when I should be eating. I'm supposed to eat when I feel hungry. Like, so now what I will do when it's breakfast time or lunchtime, I will, instead of saying I must eat because it's lunch, I ask myself, do I need to eat? Am I hungry? And sometimes I'll say, I'm not hungry now, but I will be later, and I'll just have lunch then. And that's where I feel like I gained my power again, because I didn't tell myself, like I have done many times, I'll skip lunch because I want to be skinny, or I'm not hungry, but because it's lunchtime, I'll just make some eggy bread. Like, I wasn't telling myself from either side of the scale something that I should or shouldn't be doing. I was just asking myself, do I need fuel? Yes or no? And I think that's truly the secret. I have now lost over a stone since that video. I didn't even think I was making the video to lose weight. I certainly didn't think I was making the video to change my life, but I really do think I have. And I know that does sound dramatic, but I have had such an unhealthy relationship with food and my body for my entire life. I don't even know where it started, but since I was a kid, I look at like 13-year-olds now, 12-year-olds, and I'm like shocked in the thought of how myself at that age was skipping meals. Where did I pick up that? I don't know. I don't know where I picked that up from. Super Size versus Super Skinny used to be my favourite TV show as a small kid. I don't know whether that was anything to do with it. I know a lot of people have also said that TV show gave them eating disorders and all sorts. I don't know. There'll be like lots of things come into the equation for sure. I've lost a lot of weight before, but this has been the biggest amount of weight I've lost and managed to keep off. And also on top of that, not restricted myself. I had Chinese 2 days ago. I had pizza yesterday. Like, I still eat what I want. I just listen to my gut. It's so simple that it's almost hard to explain, because it almost sounds like I'm not explaining anything. I'm basically saying to you, just listen to your stomach. You don't have to finish everything on your plate. When people say it's rude to leave some food, when people say, you know, there's starving people out there, you should eat all the food, don't guilt trip yourself. Don't feel bad. Don't make yourself feel bad into treating yourself like a trash can. Like, that's something else I will remind myself as well. It's a stomach, it's a body, and not a trash can. So if you're saying I must eat all this food, otherwise it's going to go to waste, put it in the freaking fridge. What will go to waste is when you shove it in your gob, it sits in your stomach, and it ends up just adding fat onto your body, which is excessive. Like, it's not fat for like keeping you energized and moving. You're still wasting it if you're shoving it in your body. Do you get what I mean? Because the food isn't being used for what it's supposed to be used for. It's just kind of being like thrown away, but like inside, which is worse in my opinion than throwing it away outside of your body, because you're kind of mistreating yourself by doing that. You're guilt tripping yourself into harming yourself, really. Saying, oh, I should eat this because there's people starving in the world and they would appreciate this. Let's kind of like make myself feel better about that by overeating. It's a bit weird. I haven't wasted more food since I've been mindful eating. I save food. I put it in the if anything, actually, I waste less food because I'm not forcing myself to finish every single dinner if I don't feel ready to finish it. and then having to cook more food for tomorrow's dinner. A lot of the time I will save something in the fridge for the next time I want to eat, so then that means I don't have to open a fresh packet of chips or like whatever else I want to eat. So I'm like, if anything, making the food go longer. That video did also teach me the difference between stuffed and content. I didn't actually know there was a difference. Now I just eat until I'm content. Before I was eating until I was stuffed and uncomfortable, and to the point where I would need to like sit down for a bit and be like, ugh, after a meal, to kind of process the food. That's not what you should be like after eating every single time. Like, you should just eat until you feel like your energy levels are back. That's what I aim for now. Because I'm naturally eating slower now, I find myself getting full before I've even come close to finishing the plate off, because I'm eating slower. If I do happen to be eating quite fast that evening, sometimes I'll finish the whole plate. I will finish everything on the plate because I'm getting better at understanding what actual portions I can eat now. I will be like, I'm actually still peckish, but instead of going straight into the kitchen, diving into the cupboard, diving into the fridge, I'll just put the plate down and I'll say to Adam, if he's like, are you still hungry? I'm like, yes, I am now, but give me like 10 minutes. Or I'll make a cup of tea or have some water and just like do something else for a little bit, just not to distract myself from being hungry, not to skip pudding because I'm trying to lose weight. It's literally just to let time go by for the food to process, because it takes a lot longer than I think we naturally assume that food should take to let our brain know that we're full. Like, there's a process there with that the chemicals need to go through. I'm not a scientist, I can't give you the specifics, but we need to slow down in so many aspects of life, particularly around food. So that's the biggest advice I would give to someone who's struggling with food for whatever reason, feeling a bit more of a connection there. Again, I say again, but some of you may have never even ever experienced a connection with being intuitive around your food. I might make a video soon. What might be fun is actually following me along throughout the day in a daily vlog type style for me to share the questions that go in my head, the thought processes I have throughout the day, to kind of show you as I go along. So maybe you could see how that works in a more like daily style. Does that make sense? Like, if you would like that, let me know in the comments if that's something that you feel you would benefit from. But also let me know in the comments, would this sort of lifestyle benefit you? What's your attitude towards food? I want to hear whether you would try something like this. Is this not, do you have a different kind of process to go down? I understand everyone's going through their own journey when it comes to their relationship with food. I understand whether this might not be something that you're ready for quite yet, but I'd like to know how you feel about it. I might even start more videos around this topic because I feel like this is a massive part of my life. I want to shout it out from the rooftops because little Ellie would be very shocked that I've come this far and I'm this happy, and all it took was to listen to something within me that was there the whole time, just trying to like talk to me, and I was just like, focused on so many other things going on around me, and the media mostly. I blame media, to be honest. I think we're losing connection with ourselves quite a bit, and it's a shame. So this Christmas, this holiday, I'm not gonna restrict myself, make myself feel bad, or go on a crazy diet in January. I'm just gonna smooth my way through, enjoy Christmas dinner. I'll be having a roast this year, and I will be enjoying it more than I would have last year, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. Even more so. That's the crazy thing about it. I don't even need to sabotage my enjoyment for food. It's just enhanced it. I'm seeing it as a more like beautiful experience now. Before it was like, it's just a potato. Eat it, get it over with. Now I'm like, it's crispy, feel the textures, taste the tastes. This food tastes delicious and it's getting me through my day. Why am I having such a bad relationship with something that brings so much goodness to my life? Anyway, I'm gonna go. I hope you enjoyed this. If you'd like to see me talk about more stuff on this topic, I would love for you to let me know suggestions down there in the comments section. I'm on social media such as Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. See me on behind the scenes stuff by following me on those. Subscribe to the channel to be notified every time I make a brand new video. Thank you to my top patrons. Support me on Patreon if you want to support what I do. And I have a tarot reading Facebook page if you're interested in that. Bye!